IVM.
Hi everybody, this is Amit Doshi and I have a request. We'd really appreciate it if you could go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and fill out our survey over there. It's going to take a few minutes to do, but it gives us some really interesting information that we can take to advertisers and brands about who's listening to the network. If you're comfortable giving us your email address, while you're filling out the survey, we'll enter you into a random drawing where we'll be sending out a bunch of IVM swag to some of our listeners. Last year we sent out coffee mugs, and this year we're hoping to send out much cooler stuff. That's ivmpodcast.com/survey. We really appreciate your help.
Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawalla, your peak performance coach, life coach, emotional intelligence practitioner, and NLP practitioner. I'm also the founder of Abzo Expertise Unique, and my organization constantly aims at building leaders across continents. After having worked with so many dynamic business honchos, entrepreneurs, startups, CEOs, management gurus, parents, and student communities worldwide, I am convinced that every individual has unleashed potential, and all we really need to do is realize it. Watch the magic unfold, enhance quality of life, relationships, and professions. On my show, be ready for some riveting conversations with inspirational people, snippets, stories, and much more. So here I am on this exceptional journey to find empowerment and inspiration anywhere I can. Come join me on this breathtaking path of self-realization, potential maximization, positivity, and most of all, embrace your inner power. You are on your way to empowering yourselves. Welcome to the Empowering Series with Zarina Poonawalla.
We have all had to cope with grief in some way or the other, in some situation or the other, in some relationship or the other, especially during this pandemic. Grief is inevitable and it can be experienced in so many ways. Demise of a loved one or a pet, divorce or relationship breakup, a serious health condition, loss of job or business, some financial setback or bankruptcy even, miscarriage or childbirth trauma, natural calamity or a disaster trauma, trauma of physical, verbal or mental abuse, a loved one's serious illness, a loss of friendship, retirement or loneliness. Grief is so much more than you have imagined. What is grief? Grief is your natural response to loss. It's the emotional suffering you feel when something or someone you love is taken away. Often the pain of loss can feel overwhelming. Grief can feel like an erupting volcano burning inside you. It can feel like the bottom of the ocean, where you're drowning deeply in your sorrows. You can feel all kinds of emotions at once. Denial to anger, shock to breakdown, guilt to sadness, all at once. It can also disrupt you physically, physiologically, mentally. You may experience a loss of appetite or again, a lack of purpose, insomnia, and many such. Grief is not just one emotion. It's a plethora of emotions. In 1969, psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross introduced what became known as the 5 stages of grief. These stages of grief were based on her studies of the feelings of patients facing terminal illnesses. But many people have generalized them to other types of negative life changes and losses as well, such as death, breakups, and natural calamities. So let me take you through these 5 stages of grief. Denial. The first stage is denial. This cannot happen to me. The second stage is anger. Why is this happening to me? Who the hell is to blame? How dare this happen to me? The third stage is bargaining. If only I had answered that call. He would still be alive. Make this happen, and in return, I will do this. Depression is the fourth stage. I'm too sad. It's over for me. There's nothing else to do with my life. It's all gone. I am nobody without him or her. I have nothing to look forward to in my life. Lastly, the fifth stage, acceptance. It is what it is. I cannot change what happened. I'd rather accept it and make choices now onwards. It is unescapable and undeniable that the grieving process takes time. There is no timeline to sorrow. You feel it until you are ready to heal it. And healing happens gradually. It can't be hurried. Some may take a few days or weeks, while others may be consumed for months, even years. So, although there are 5 stages to grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, it is just to help you sum up how you can feel and what you can feel. It is how we respond. So this isn't a testament to swear by. It is to help you recognize where you are at this point with your grief. Here are some ways to cope with grief. But before I get there, let me tell you, I can't take away your pain. I'm sorry for that. But I can help you learn how to cope with it. A significant loss can make you feel like a piece of you has been lost too. It's hard, and I understand that. But you've got to get up and put your pieces together. It doesn't get better, but you certainly get stronger. Try whatever it takes to heal that pain, trauma, struggle, or loss. But try, my friends, you must. Try to acknowledge your pain and accept it has happened. In this way, you eliminate the possibility of living in denial. And if you look at the 5 stages, you've already reached the last stage. Understand that your coping mechanism may be different from another's, and that's absolutely fine. It's absolutely okay. Don't try to rush or replicate somebody else's method. Take your time. Process yourself. I must admit, people don't even have the luxury of time to grieve these days. And while that is debatable, there is no doubt that going back to your routine makes you go back to a sense of normalcy. So try to return to your normal routine as soon as possible. Prioritize yourself. Sleep deprivation is very common, and to tackle that, you must try working out in the evening or eating smaller meals or sipping on organic teas to either help tire you or relax you. Just like sleep, there are other signs and symptoms, so identify them and tackle them, but prioritize yourself at all times. Meet people you are comfortable with. Try and spend time with people that make you comfortable, not uncomfortable, the ones who ask the right questions and have the right conversations. Pick a hobby or a substitute activity to help you regroup yourself. If you have built up anger, try kickboxing or martial arts that can channelize the emotion of anger. If you are overthinking and the mind is not at peace, seek meditation, mindfulness, yoga, or spirituality. And similarly, try and identify the emotion and channelize it accordingly with an activity or hobby. Avoid resorting to vices to compensate for your grief. Drugs, alcoholism, or any such that acts as a camouflage to your feelings, that is not how you manage your grief. That is how you build it up. So avoid vices. Try to let people around you know you will talk about the issue if and when you feel comfortable, and to respect your space. I insist on this one because you will notice when there's a demise of a loved one, you're given condolences and asked, what happened? How did it happen? When did it happen? And that, in my opinion, is the most painful moment. To repeatedly experience that trauma and explain it again and again and sort of relive the trauma 1,000,000 times over every time, you have to repeat yourself. That kind of pain is excruciating. So please let people know that you will speak about it when you're ready. In fact, if you're comfortable, try and speak to 1 or 2 people so that you don't have to repeat yourself again and again. Lastly, don't be a victim of your grief. You won't know when you go from feeling sorry about your situation to feeling sorry for yourself and gradually expecting people to feel sorry for you. You just won't know, and you will be living in self-pity, self-loathing, with a victim mentality. So please, don't be a victim. Be a victor. You will overcome this and you will get through it no matter what. You must cope with your grief. I cannot fathom the pain in your heart or the unwillingness to care for your life, especially during this pandemic. Much is loved and lost. But my precious people, there is hope. There will always be hope. And that's why it is important that we hang on tight. Meanwhile, be safe, be well, be empowered.
If you liked this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I wanted to kind of just give a quick reminder to everybody. As I mentioned up top, we are doing our annual listener survey right now. If you could please go and take a couple of minutes out of your day and fill it out, we would really, really appreciate it. It's ivmpodcast.com/survey. If you're comfortable giving us your email address, we'll enter you into a random drawing, and we're going to be sending out swag to a bunch of randomly selected listeners. So do definitely get on board that train. Let me tell you a little bit about what we did on the network this week. We launched a new show called Zindagi Diaries with Ragini Kumar. Many of you might have seen Ragini on television during the IPL. She's a presenter, but she's showing a different side of herself over here with a poetry podcast. Give it a shot, give it a listen. Let me know what you all think. Vishal Gondal is back this week after a while. He's been on an extended break, but he has Rahul Narvekar for the first episode. Really interesting conversation. Do check it out. Raji Samant joins Gauri Devidayal on This Round Is On Me. The two talk about the wine business and what's going on there. We had a number of conversations about the Farmers Bill and the surrounding agitation this week on the network as well. Maruk Inayat had a great episode on the note. Pulyabazi did a deep dive into the issues around this. And on Siders, we have our typical, fun conversation about this stuff with a little bit of a seriousness, a little bit of fun. Do check that out on Cock and Bull on Thursday last week. Akash Mehta joined us for that episode. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
जिंदगी डायरीज के पन्नों में कुछ पुरानी यादें, समुंदर किनारे झूमते दरख्त, जवान दिल की धड़कनें और अनजान मुलाकातें हैं। तो आइए खोलिए मेरे साथ जिंदगी डायरी के पन्ने और साथ ही खुलकर जीते हैं जिंदगी। आप सुन सकते हैं जिंदगी डायरीज IVM पॉडकास्ट ऐप या वेबसाइट पर, या जहां कहीं से भी आप अपने पॉडकास्ट सुनते हो।